Here is a number that changes the way you think about retirement. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nearly 70% of people who reach age 65 will need some form of long-term care in their lifetime. Not might need it, will need it. 70%. And yet, 83% of Americans have not taken a single step to prepare for it, not one. If you are within 5 to 10 years of retirement right now, if you have spent decades saving and investing and doing things right, this is the gap in the plan that can quietly undo all of it. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what long-term care really costs today, what Medicare actually covers, and what it absolutely does not. And the 3 questions that separate people who are ready from people who get blindsided. And there is one thing that 58% of Americans believe about long-term care right now, and it is dead wrong. We are going to start with that one because it is costing people everything. Quick note, I am not a financial advisor or a government employee. Everything here is for educational purposes only. For your specific situation, always sit down with a qualified professional. If this is your first time here, I'm Mark. Welcome to Dividend Hustle. And if this video helps you see something you did not see before, hit that like button. It helps me put this in front of more people who need it. All right, let us get into it. The myth that costs the most. Here's the myth. I don't need to worry about long-term care because Medicare will cover it. In a 2025 national survey by the Nationwide Retirement Institute, 58% of Americans said Medicare will cover their long-term care expenses. It will not. And this misunderstanding is probably the most expensive mistake in retirement planning. Here's what Medicare actually covers. Medicare Part A will pay for up to 100 days of skilled nursing care, but only after a qualifying 3-day hospital stay. And even within those 100 days, starting on day 21, you owe a coinsurance of $217 per day. Now, catch that word, skilled. That means medical care, physical therapy, wound care, monitoring after a surgery, the kind a nurse or therapist provides. But the moment your care becomes custodial, meaning someone is helping you bathe, get dressed, eat, or move through your day, Medicare stops paying. Full stop. And here's the part that makes this so dangerous. Custodial care is exactly the kind of long-term care that most people actually need. So picture this. You or someone you love has a stroke or gets a dementia diagnosis. You need daily help. Not medical procedures, just help living. And the bill is $6,000 to $10,000 a month. Medicare is not picking that up. That's not a worst-case scenario. That's Tuesday for millions of families in this country. Smart people approaching retirement do not assume Medicare has them covered. They find out for sure. And now you know. So if Medicare is not going to cover it, the obvious next question is this. How often does this actually happen, and what does it really cost? The answer might surprise you. The numbers nobody shows you. Here's the myth. Long-term care is something that happens to other people. It probably won't happen to me. A poll by the University of Michigan found that only 43% of adults over 50 believe they will likely need long-term care. Most people think they will be in the lucky minority. The data says otherwise. Here's the truth. 70% of people turning 65 will need some type of long-term care services. The average duration is about 3 years, but for women, it's longer, 3.7 years on average, compared to 2.2 for men. And 1 in 5 people will need care for more than 5 years. Now, before I show you the cost, take a guess. What do you think a single year in a nursing home costs right now? Not 10 years from now, right now, today. Hold that number in your head. Let me walk through each one so these land. Having someone come to your home to help with daily tasks, in-home care, costs about $80,080 a year. Assisted living runs about $74,400 a year. A semi-private nursing home room, you are sharing a room, is $114,975 a year. A private room is $129,575. And memory care for Alzheimer's or dementia runs $80,000 to almost $92,000 a year. A typical stay lasts 2 to 3 years. Now let me do the math on this with you. Say you need a semi-private nursing home for 3 years. Take $114,975 and multiply it by 3. That is, actually, let me round to make it clean, roughly $345,000 for one person, 3 years. That can drain a lifetime of saving faster than anything else in retirement. And these costs are climbing 3 to 8% a year depending on the type of care, faster than regular inflation. So the numbers I just showed you, they will be higher by the time most of you reading this need care. According to Milliman, the average lifetime cost of long-term care for someone at 65 is about $135,000, but for women, it is $171,000. And for the unlucky 9% who face the worst outcome, the cost can blow past $250,000. Was your guess close? For most people, it is not. And that gap between what people think it costs and what it actually costs is where the danger lives. Now, a lot of people hear these numbers and think, well, my family will step in. That is the next myth, and it is the one that hits closest to home. The cost nobody counts. Here's the myth. If I ever need care, my family will take care of me. And here's the thing, many families do. Family caregivers are the backbone of long-term care in America. But what most people never stop to count is what that care actually costs the person giving it. Right now, 63 million Americans are family caregivers. That's nearly 1 in 4 adults. And in 2024, those caregivers provided care valued at over $1 trillion. That's more than the entire country spent on Medicaid that year. The average caregiver puts in 27 hours a week. Nearly 1 in 4 are doing 40 hours or more. That's a full-time job, except nobody is paying them and there are no benefits. And the out-of-pocket hit is brutal. Family caregivers spend an average of $7,224 a year in caregiving expenses, medications, supplies, travel, home modifications. That's about 26% of their income. Then there's the career damage. Among working caregivers, 27% cut their hours, 16% turned down a promotion, 16% stopped working altogether for a stretch. And the emotional toll. 64% report high emotional stress, 45% report high physical strain. If you're in your late 50s or early 60s right now, you might already be living some version of this. Almost a third of caregivers are also raising children under 18, the sandwich generation. Here's why I'm telling you this. It's not to scare you or make you feel guilty. It's because this is a decision that affects your entire family, not just you. And smart people make that kind of decision with their eyes open, not in a crisis, not at 2 in the morning in a hospital hallway. If you have a parent over 70 or a spouse or a sibling who's getting older, they need to hear this part. Share this video with them, not later, today. That conversation might be the most important financial conversation your family ever has. Quick question before we move on. Have you ever had the long-term care conversation with your family? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Alright, so now you know the real cost, the real odds, and the real toll on families. The question becomes, what can you actually do about it? And I think this is the most important part of this whole video. The menu you didn't know you had. Here's the myth. Planning for long-term care is something only wealthy people can do. I can't afford it. Here's the truth. There's a planning option at nearly every income level. You just have to know what's on the table.
Let me walk through the main choices. First, traditional long-term care insurance, a standalone policy. You pay an annual premium, and if you need care, the policy pays a daily or monthly benefit. At age 55 with inflation protection, that runs roughly $2,200 a year for a man and about $3,750 for a woman. For a couple both at 55, around $5,000 a year combined. The honest truth about this market, it has shrunk. Most major insurers stopped selling these years ago, and some policyholders have seen steep rate hikes. But a handful of carriers still offer them. Mutual of Omaha, National Guardian Life, Thrivent, and CareScott Insurance, which launched a new product in late 2025. Second, hybrid or combination policies. This is where the market has moved, and it's the leading private long-term care solution now. A hybrid combines life insurance with long-term care coverage. If you need care, it pays for care. If you never need care, your heirs get the death benefit. Nothing is wasted. The big advantage, premiums are guaranteed. They cannot go up. The trade-off, they cost more upfront. Most buyers invest $70,000 to $150,000, either as a lump sum or spread over 10 years. Third, self-insuring. This means you deliberately set aside a specific amount to cover care out of your own savings. Financial planners often suggest earmarking $200,000 to $400,000, depending on your situation. But here's the critical word, deliberately. Saying, "I will figure it out later," is not self-insuring. That is drifting. Earmarking $300,000 in a dedicated account and stress testing it against a 3-year nursing home scenario, that's self-insuring. The difference between those two is everything. Fourth, Medicaid. Medicaid does pay for long-term nursing home care, but only after you've spent down nearly everything you own. In most states, the individual asset limit is just $2,000, and there's a 5-year look-back period on any transfers. About 1 in 6 nursing home residents who weren't already on Medicaid end up spending down their assets to qualify. It's a real safety net, but it requires near total impoverishment first. Fifth, veterans benefits. If you or your spouse served during wartime, you may qualify for aid and attendance. In 2026, that benefit pays up to $2,874 a month for a married veteran who needs help with daily activities. It's tax-free, and it's widely underused. And here's something new. Starting in 2026, Secure 2.0 allows you to pull up to $2,500 a year from your IRA or 401k to pay long-term care insurance premiums, and the 10% early withdrawal penalty is waived. You still owe income tax on the withdrawal, but that penalty waiver can make a real difference. So, the menu is bigger than most people realize. And notice, I didn't say one option is right for everyone. They each fit a different situation. What matters is that you choose one on purpose. That brings us to the last myth, and honestly, it's the most dangerous one. The birthday clock. Here's the myth. I have plenty of time to deal with this later. There's no rush. Here's the truth. Every year you wait makes this decision more expensive, and at some point, you lose the ability to make it at all. At 55, a woman pays about $3,750 a year with inflation protection. At 60, that climbs to $4,450. By 65, it's $5,290. That's roughly an 80% increase from 55 to 65 for the exact same coverage. But now, look at the right column. That's the part that really matters. At 55, about 1 in 5 applicants are turned down for health reasons. By 65, it's nearly 2 out of 5. And by 70, almost half of all applicants are denied. And here's the hard truth. If you receive a diagnosis of dementia, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, or you've had a stroke, you're very likely uninsurable. There's no second chance, no appeal. The window simply closes. That's the birthday clock. It's always ticking, and it doesn't care how much money you've saved. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something. I'm not here to sell you a policy. Not today, not ever. What I am here to tell you is this. Whether you buy insurance, self-insure on purpose, lean on VA benefits, plan a Medicaid strategy with an elder law attorney, or combine several of these, the worst possible outcome is doing nothing at all.
Drifting is a decision, and it is the most expensive one. So here are 3 questions. Every single person approaching retirement should sit down, ideally with their spouse or their adult children, and answer these 3. 1. Where would I receive care? At home? Assisted living? A family member's home? 2. Who would provide it? A spouse? An adult child? A paid professional? 3. How would I pay for it? Insurance? Savings? Home equity? Benefits? If you can answer all 3, you have a plan. It does not have to be perfect. An imperfect plan you have thought through is infinitely better than a scramble at 2 in the morning after a phone call you were not ready for. And while you're at it, make sure you have the paperwork to back it up. A healthcare power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, and an advance directive. Only about 1 in 3 Americans have these in place. Be one of the 3. Here is the line I want you to take from this video. Write it down if you need to. The most expensive long-term care plan is no plan at all. Say that to your spouse tonight. Say it to your sibling this weekend. Because the people who thrive in retirement are not the ones with the most money. They're the ones who made the hard decisions early, before the birthday clock made them for them. If someone you care about is approaching retirement and has never had this conversation, share this video with them right now. That might be the most important thing you do today. Now, I want to hear from you. After watching this, are you leaning toward insuring, self-insuring, or are you still figuring it out? Tell me in the comments. I learn as much from you as you learn from me. If you are building toward a retirement where your money works for you and you want to stay ahead of the decisions that actually matter, subscribe to this channel and I will keep walking this road with you.